With this year's Valentine's Day falling on a Friday, it seemed like I was being pointed in the direction of a love story. But instead of the run of the mill Laila Majnu, Romeo Juliet type of sob stories, I thought we should talk about a much more inspiring love story where the protagonists prove their love not by dying for each other, but by living a long, successful life of togetherness. And considering that this is a true story, it becomes even more Valentine worthy. The protagonists of today's story are not your usual tall, dark, and handsome, and damsel in distress. When they met, he was a quiet, shy young man who wore thick glasses, and she was a fiery, outspoken pathbreaker. And what brought them together was a shared love of books. This is definitely reading lamp material. An Uncommon Love by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni is the love story of Sudha and Narayan Murthy, two legends who transformed the fields of business and philanthropy. Happy Valentine's Day! Let's switch on the reading lamp. Hello, I'm Asavari, and on this channel, I review books and talk about reading in general. Shall we have a look at the details of today's book?
Facts and Figures.
An Uncommon Love is the first non-fiction book written by author Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, famous for her fiction titles like Palace of Illusions, The Forest of Enchantments, Independence, etc. This book was published in 2023 by Juggernaut Books, 372 pages long, available in hardcover and Kindle editions. There is no audiobook so far. The link to buy the book is in the first pinned comment and in the description below. Now, the actual contents of the book. But as you know, no spoilers, no worries. Just
The cover story.
the book begins with the first meeting of Sudhaji and Mr. Narayan Murthy. Sudhaji was working at Telco, while Mr. Narayan Murthy was working for a think tank called Systems Research Institute, set up by his mentor, Professor Krishnaiya from the IIM Ahmedabad. They had a common friend, Prasanna, who was a colleague of Sudhaji's at Telco. Sudhaji and Prasanna got along very well because they both were voracious readers. On the bus to work, they often discussed the books they were reading. Lately, Sudhaji had noticed that Prasanna was reading books with unusual titles like How to Be an Alien and How to Tango, a solo across South America, and How to Unite Nations. The author was someone she had never heard of, George Mikes. And written in a confident flourish on the flyleaf of each book was a name and a place. The places were unexpected and exotic: Paris, Rome, Istanbul, Kabul. One day, Sudhaji couldn't resist asking Prasanna, "Who's this man? A global bus conductor?" Prasanna laughed and told her that he was a friend and now also a flatmate, a seasoned traveler, and a Kannadiga like the two of them. He invited her to visit their flat to meet the global bus conductor. Sudhaji hesitated because she was particularly careful about mingling with male co workers and friends. She was the first woman engineer employed by Telco, living alone in Pune, far from her much more traditional hometown of Hubli, and very much conscious of the many eyes on her. She was extra careful about her behavior and about establishing boundaries. When she went out for dinner with male friends, she always paid for her own share. She never visited male friends at their flats, but this time she made an exception. She was curious about those exotic books by foreign authors that apparently filled the bookshelves in the flat and the man who had put them there. She thought he would be suave and debonair, a little bit like Rajesh Khanna, sporting sideburns and boots. When she walked into Prasanna's flat, she was surprised to meet a thin and slight man wearing thick glasses and with a small scar on his forehead. Not movie star material. He seemed quiet, almost shy, until they began discussing books. Then his eyes sparkled and he spoke with eloquence. They discovered that they shared a passion for Kannada writers like Kuvempu, Shivram Karanth, and S.L. Bhairappa. His bookshelves were just as crowded as she had imagined, with books by many new and fascinating writers, and more books with titles like Little Cabbages and How to Scrape Skies and Shakespeare and Me, written by George Mikes. Mr. Narayan Murthy gently corrected her pronunciation of the Hungarian author's name by telling her it's Mikash. Sudhaji could be prickly when she was told she was wrong, but strangely, she didn't mind it this time. She stayed longer than she had planned and left with a simple grocery bag filled with books that Mr. Murthy had loaned her for reading, and a plan to meet again for dinner the next evening. She sternly added conditions like Prasanna would join them as a chaperone, she would pay for her own dinner, and the venue would be an inexpensive, unpretentious restaurant called Pune Coffee House. He readily agreed to everything. And so begins the book that tells the love story that grew into a powerful and lasting marriage, going on strong for the last 47 years. It also tells the individual stories of the childhood and early years of these two icons, and the early story of Infosys and Indian business before liberalization. Here's why this book is my recommended Valentine's Day read.
Speaking my mind.
First of all, we get to see the personal, individual side of these two icons of Indian business and philanthropy. Some of the anecdotes are downright surprising and entertaining. It's fairly common knowledge that Sudhaji was the first woman engineer employed by Telco. She bagged the interview because of a postcard sent directly to JRD Tata, in which she described her disappointment at the lady candidates need not apply condition in their job advertisement for engineers. She told him it was unfair and unexpected for a company that projected itself as progressive. But the book also tells you that one of Sudhaji's best loved activities was going to the movies. Once she made a bet with the women in the ladies' hostel where she stayed and won 100 rupees and the title of Miss Cinema by watching a different movie every single day for 365 days. I was surprised to read that the sari clad, Mangal Sutra wearing, flowers in the hair persona of Sudhaji came about much later after she started working on Infosys Foundation. For the longest time, her preferred outfit was jeans and a t shirt, and hair cut in an efficient short style. You also get to read about how Mr. Narayan Murthy hitchhiked his way across Europe, visiting 25 countries in 11 months before returning to India. On the last leg of his journey, he was unceremoniously dragged from a train by Bulgarian policemen and locked in a 8 by 8 room for 3 days. Equally unceremoniously, he was thrown into the guard's compartment of a departing freight train. By the time the train reached Istanbul, he had starved for more than 4 days. He eventually reached India via Afghanistan. Secondly, the book tells you about the sacrifices that go into the making of a strong marriage, especially when two equally ambitious and capable individuals come together. Whether you're a fan of the Murtis and Infosys or not, there is no denying their achievements. The answer to the difficult question of when and who takes the back seat and how often can lead either to a tense relationship filled with resentment and dissatisfaction or to a harmonious partnership that is the bedrock of a thriving business empire. The story of Infosys cannot be separated from the story of the Murtis, but the focus of this book is on the personal story. And the business aspect is covered in relation to how it affects their personal life. The way the book is written, the tone is one of respect, but I didn't find the author fawning over the Murtis. I found the book to be a candid, honest representation of both of them as individuals and as a couple. In this day and age, it is even more important for both partners in a relationship to be able to juggle the demands of their professional life and the needs of their personal life in a way that feels fair and equitable to both. Considering that this is a couple that has been together for more than 47 years and built a business empire from the ground up, I would say they must have got it right. I think this book should become mandatory reading for all couples, but especially young adults in a committed relationship. In fact, I have decided that I'm going to give this book to all my younger friends as well as nephews and nieces who are in a committed relationship and or about to get married. Here's a quote that will tell you exactly why this book is my Valentine's Day reading recommendation. It's a short paragraph right at the end of the book. Sudhaji has taken the decision to resign as department head at her college and go back to being a guest lecturer. She wants to focus on creating Infosys Foundation. Narayan Murthy is planning a new world class campus for Infosys. It's night and they are both drifting off to sleep, thinking about their future plans.
Quote unquote.
The moon sailed slowly across the sky, pushing through clouds. A night bird cried out its lonely song. Sudha and Murthy lay side by side, dreaming their separate, unique dreams. For me, that's the essence of the ideal relationship: individualism balanced with togetherness. Now, the LINEDSCAPE rating of today's book.
LINEDSCAPE Rating.
Up there is a link to the video that explains my LINEDSCAPE book rating system. 6 parameters of this book are 9 on 10 and remaining 4 are 8 on 10. The total score is 86 over 100, which makes it a 4.5-star book. Now it's time to put my thoughts.
In a nutshell.
An Uncommon Love by Chitra, Banerjee, Divakaruni is the true love story of Sudha and Narayan Murthy. It's a wonderful read, especially in the Valentine's month, because it shows us by example how two iconic individuals balance their personal and professional lives and support and encourage each other to lead happy, fulfilled lives as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. I wholeheartedly recommend reading this enjoyable and enlightening 4.5-star book. If you're thinking of embarking on or are already in a committed relationship, definitely read it. If you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell icon, and please share with your friends and family. The more, the merrier. This is Asavri signing off for now. Wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. Until the next time, have fun under the reading lamp. Switch on, read on.